G'day viewers and welcome to this week's PB's Retro Restorations. Although this week it's not really a restoration, it's a creation. I'm doing something a little bit different. This 1978 Dodge pickup truck, or D100. Now, I started on this one, got the chassis together, and then I got so involved with doing diecast things, I kept telling myself I didn't have the time to put the model kit together again, but I just was telling myself that, and I hooked in. I'm a big fan of Hpiguy Guy's Model Workshop. He's instilled a sense of having fun with it. You know, it's fun just to put it together, and you know, it doesn't have to be picture perfect. It doesn't have to be the most immaculate, detailed, 100% historically accurate build, and it's really helped me to don't sweat the small stuff, as he says. So thanks, Chris. I doubt very much, of course, that you would come by this video, but if you've watched his build of the D100, you might see some similarities. I went for a similar theme, you know, the weathered, beaten truck. So anyway, a bit of a longer video. Hope you enjoy it. I'll try and talk about some of the things I do, but yeah, I hope you enjoy it. So as you've seen me doing some of my diecast builds, I'm doing a black base coat, followed by a brown over the top. The black base coat gives it a bit of depth. Some of the, you know, the crevices and lines look a little bit more lifelike, if you will. Just doing the interior in the same process. Even though I'm doing this as a beater, some of the mould lines on the top of these guards are a little bit too much, so that's the best thing about doing a beater. You don't, you know, I mean, you have lots of happy accidents and it can still look awesome at the end. But mould lines, they never look awesome, so I'm sanding them off, and I probably didn't get all of them, but you know, I like the end result. So anyway, here I am doing some of the rust effects. I'm attacking the body from the inside with a metal bit on my Dremel, just, you know, making it wafer thin in places, poking it right through in others. And once I'm finished doing this process, I'll poke some of the holes through with a knife and just make it, you know, look like the bottom of it's dropping out. So what's the first rule of Red Primer Club? make sure you've got enough red primer, club, just so you can finish off painting the body. I ran out of it halfway through. But again, because we're not looking for perfection, it didn't matter. I just got the grey primer out and finished it off, and I had to do the whole bed tray and the primer. The reason I'm doing the red base is, you know, when I sand the paint off, it'll give it like, then the primer starts coming through underneath it. Didn't really work this time. I did it on my XL Falcon build. I'll put some photos of that while I'm gibbering about it. And it can be really effective. So here I am just using some super glue to put the rest of the engine together. And now a top coat of red, just Italian red, Tamiya rattle pack. And for a few minutes it'll look really nice and glossy. And then we'll get to work making it not look so glossy. So I've masked it off a bit, shoved some tissue paper inside. I'm going for the replacement door and replacement mudguard look. Got a bit of overspray in other places. You know what, it doesn't matter, I just sanded it off a bit and it's all part of the effect. Now, taking extra care to do the horn buttons on the steering wheel. I was painting this rim and it looks a lot like an Australian Valiant steering wheel. I mean, it probably is exactly the same thing, just for different markets, I guess. Now the door panel details on this weren't really well pronounced. I kind of coloured in what was supposed to be the door handles. It's just a quick build. You could always make your own door handles. Coloured in the seat buckles. I'll colour in the belt webbing as well, just with a gel pen. And then I'll go over all the different places with the black wash again. Just, I don't know, just to help make it look a bit grimy, I guess. Now I've got this Vallejo rust weathering stuff. I know I'm not using it correctly and I could probably get a much better effect out of it, but it works alright for me. Once it dries it looks pretty cool. So you can see that dirty bit of orange overspray on the roof. I'm just filling in the chrome details like the wipers and around the windscreen. And then I'll get my sanding stick and I'll just sand that bit of overspray off. And you know what, I'll go in a bit further all over it and it gives it a little bit of a scuffed, sun affected look down the sides as well. The decal sheet that comes with this is amazing. There's so many cool decals with it. I'm just going to put one of them on the orange door because obviously the red door wouldn't have the same decal, and I'm going to distress that a bit too once it's dried. So I'm using Tamiya panel line again. This is still the same bottle I've had for years. I think it's going to last me forever. Just putting it into the vents, putting it around the door jambs. It'll help, cover up some of my errors, some of them, and we'll keep moving forward. Here you can see where I've scratched off some of the decal to give a bit of a weathered look. And now I'm using my jar of rust, which is basically steel wool that was left to sit in vinegar, and it rusts and disintegrates and makes a really fine powder. I wouldn't recommend breathing this stuff in. I just get it on my finger and just rub it over it. And then the place I wanted to go a little bit heavier, I put a bit of white glue, and then I spread it over with my fingers. Doesn't matter that it smudges the rest of it. I pick some more up, and the parts that didn't stick to my fingers I tip on the bonnet, shake it about a bit, rub it a bit more, just use my fingers. It looks a little bit ordinary here, but don't forget we're going to neaten it up a bit, and I will be giving it some more overspray. Okay, shout out to my mate Alicia who taught me this one. It's one of the first sort of techniques I picked up. A bit of oil paint, black oil paint, glove tip on my finger, squirt a bit on and just rub it on. Rub it like, in the direction you think it would be going. It starts going a bit lighter and a bit brown once you start spreading it out. Give it a rub, just do what you feel, that's what I do. That's what I learnt from Hpiguy guy. It works good. Went all over, but you look like you put it on too heavy. Just keep wiping it until it gets too thin, or how you want it. And if it gets too much, put some more on. Again, like a big tube of this oil paint, costs you, lasts forever. Okay, so I'm using some of this clear coat, and I just paint that on the spots where I want to sprinkle my homemade rust. The little spots around the guards, the corners where I made the holes, and just sprinkle it on. Now I'm going to do some dry brushing. Got some burnt umber and some dark sienna, I think it is, but they're $2 a tube. They're just acrylic paints. These techniques are from watching Hpiguy. I've still got a lot to learn about getting a really good effect out of it, but practice. Using some super glue to glue this radiator surround on before we move forward. It'll hold it in nice and tight. And then I'm going to do some modifications to the grille. I'm grinding out, one of the headlights. I drilled it out and then I used the Dremel to round it out just to make it look like one's missing. I tried to make like a busted headlight bucket out of a Coke can, but it didn't really work, so something I have to give another go. So after that, I spray it with some dull coat clear, and then ye olde panel line once again. So I'm using some Vallejo splash mud, some light stuff. You're supposed to use this on a brush, you're not supposed to put it in your airbrush because it clogs it up to buggery, and I should have learnt that by now, but anyway, I just spray a light dust on over the places I think needs it. So after I glue it all together with some super glue, I'll put some big rubber bands. One of the bonuses of working in the legal services industry. I get giant rubber bands and some bulldog clips and leave it to dry overnight. So in these last few shots I've just been putting some of the finishing pieces on. I scuffed the bumpers up a little bit, used canopy glue for the tail light lenses just so they don't cloud over, even though I'm going for a rusted look. And once I've done all that, I use some Vallejo rust washers Just painted onto the bumpers where I scraped them back and a bit all over it. Here they are, just to give a bit of a rusted look. Alright, we're almost done. Just going to use some of this Vallejo splash mud in my airbrush again. I've marked off a bit of the windscreen to simulate where the wiper goes, the one that still works. And I'll just give it a dust over with this stuff and we'll be done. Now the parcels in the back there, little wooden boxes and that, I snapped them off the base for the Aston Martin diorama that I stole the wheels off for my EH panel van the other week. And they look like little boxes in a big truck rather than crates or whatever they were supposed to be, but I thought they looked alright. So peel that tape off and we're done. Now I don't have any before shots, obviously, being a model kit. I didn't do an unboxing, so I've just got some glamour shots at the end. Got a skew-if bumper, a missing headlight. It's seen some action, this Dodge Ute. It's been held together with the zip ties. They're going to get a few more miles out of it, I hope. I hope you've enjoyed this video. It's something a bit different this week. I'll try and do some more kits soon. If you've liked this, let me know. If you've got any tips for me, let me know. I'd really appreciate it. Yes, I did leave the radiator hose off. And don't forget, this Christmas, there's no better way to let somebody know what you really think about them by getting them a PB's Retro Restorations t-shirt, now also available in small. So thanks for taking the time out of your day to watch this extra long video of mine. Thought it'd be something a bit different with the model kit. If you enjoyed this one, you might like to check out my Revel camper build that I managed to spread out over months. If you haven't yet, I'd love for you to consider subscribing. If you've enjoyed it, please, give me a like, share it with your friends, tell me to get stuffed. I'm not bothered. Thanks very much. I'll see you next week. Bye.